Yes.
Dog.
Welcome back to the Convo Couch, everyone. Pasta Jardula here.
And Fiorella is here.
And Jonny Tsunami spinning on the ones and twos. What up, Keen James? What up, Dob?
Guys?
Mega? Vegmatic from the police state of Ontario, which we'll be getting to soon. Ontario. Malik Carey is there. Thank you. Another worldview is possible. Great to see you in person.
So,
At
Pasta.
the rally. Great to see you on the Rokfins.
Guys,
Yeah.
so, Pasta, you learned what a spotted dick was.
Oh, you're gonna bring up the spotted dick. Well,
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil the surprise, but I'm going to get into the lab and come up for a good recipe for a spotted dick.
Oh, okay. Great.
Yes. Custard-filled vegan spotted dicks.
Okay, great.
Maybe even THC custard-filled
Ooh.
vegan spotted dicks.
And we could we send it to like a fam?
First, we have to have the spotted dicks on the couch, and then we can probably go into figuring out what to do after.
Okay.
But yes,
Yeah.
that's and if you don't know what a spotted dick is, go look it up. I had to. It's British. I met a dude who speaks British.
Who speaks British? Oh my God.
He was telling us about the spotted dicks. So, and you knew about it.
I did know about it. Yeah.
What's with you and the Brits? Your knowledge
I've
of the
always
Brits.
been obsessed with English, like music, basically. I always liked the Beatles, and I always went.
Yeah.
Johnny knows about this obsession. I went to, I studied abroad in England and all that stuff. So,
You did?
and my friend, my trolls know that. You don't even know that.
Your trolls know more about you than I do. That's
yeah. Well, my friend.
they know more than you do about you.
They do.
They're actually creating
It's
a narrative
crazy.
that you knew nothing about.
I had no idea.
You didn't know you worked for the CIA?
no,
You're
I didn't know
COINTELPRO?
that.
You didn't know
I
that?
wasn't
I didn't know
aware.
I was either.
My
So-
friend was British too in high school. So yeah.
Did she speak British?
Yes, fam. She spoke British. Okay.
British is like that highly over-the-top
Okay,
form of
fam.
English. that is,
Stop, fam. Just
it's way
don't
over
say
the top.
anything. Just
Okay.
stop.
Trey Wright, thank you so much for the Super Ray contribution. That is awesome. I really do appreciate it. We really do appreciate it. It's always appreciated on the couch. And Yair Navarrete, thank you so much for the Super Ray. 24 people out of the gate into the Rokfin. That's great. We want to get that number up. And if you noticed, ladies and gents, we're back on YouTube's. Hey! Guys, if you haven't got the chance, so you can't leave us a super chat over there because we're still demonetized.
Demonetized.
Ooh.
But you have Streamlabs, which is great because it doesn't take 30-something% anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And you have Rokfin
Yeah.
Super Rays, which, by the way, Glory Jones on her show, Slow News Day, has been reading them better than the way you're reading them. She does a better pasta impression than you do a
Well,
Steve
maybe
impression.
you can hire her to come do me on the couch.
Oh.
Yeah. I heard her doing it that one day when she was down here and stuff. It's an okay impression.
Oh,
My
wow.
impression of Steve is better than Glory's impression of me. Just want to point that out.
It's up for debate, fam.
Well, it is up for debate.
It's up for debate.
The accidental activist is hanging out on Rokfin. Thank you.
Sup?
Shinda. Snorky Y2K, vegan custard. Yes, I'm going to make vegan custard. Don't worry about it. I got this. Snorky. And Green Winter is here. I just hit the like button. You can too. So listen to Green Winter. Hit the like button because if you don't hit the like button, if you don't press for free journalism, if you don't stand up against your government, guess what you get, fam? A police state.
Okay, can
Ontario, fam.
Ontario.
Yes.
Fam.
You brought this to my attention when you were listening. Fam was watching the video, and I'm like, "What is that? Like a
He
skit?"
thought it was fake.
I'm like, "Is that the Onion? Is that something going on? Like they can't be serious, but please elaborate."
No, you thought it was fake. You
I
thought
did.
that I was lying about it. So Ontario is officially a police state because the government is putting all of these restrictions supposedly because of COVID.
Yes.
Right. And did you want to read these that you had up?
You can read if you want. What do you want me
Okay,
to read?
I'll do the first one.
do
The
the first
Ontario government is actually going to give the police temporary powers, only temporary, to enforce its stay-at-home order to allow them to stop individuals and vehicles and ask for their reasons for leaving their home. So if you want to put the first one, Johnny.
The first paragraph alone. Can you read that one again? Listen to this, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. The Ontario government is giving police temporary powers to enforce its stay-at-home order and allowing them to stop individuals and vehicles and ask their reasons for leaving their homes.
Why are you Can you imagine? Why
Yeah.
are you leaving your home? Where are you going? What are you doing?
I hate it when you ask me when I'm going, or Johnny hates it when we ask him.
Like, where
don't
you
worry
going?
about it. I'll tell the police. Don't worry about it. Fucker.
Well, sir, I'm going to go over to my friend Jade's house. We're going to play Monopoly. We're going to drink some. You want to know where I'm going first? We're going to go over to the store. We're going to get some beers. I mean, it's completely absurd. Completely absurd.
So the Solicitor General made this announcement Friday afternoon. So these are the new measures introduced by the Premier Doug Ford's government to stop the further spread of COVID-19. They said, quote, "We have made the deliberate decision to temporarily enhance police officers' authority for the duration of the stay-at-home order. Moving forward, police will have the authority to require any individual who is not in a place of residence to first provide the purpose for not being home and provide their home address," Jones said. Police will also have the authority to stop a vehicle to inquire about an individual's reason for leaving their residence. Okay, there you go.
All right. So for those of you who don't believe it's not true, because I didn't, we have video. So
this is like
crazy.
Dystopian.
Implemented the strictest measures in all of North America. And the difficult truth is, every public health measure we have left comes with a massive cost to people and their lives. But we have never shied away from doing what's necessary.
We have made the deliberate decision to temporarily enhance police officers' authority for the duration of the stay-at-home order. Moving forward, police will have the authority to require any individual who is not in a place of residence to first provide their purpose for not being at home and provide their home address. Police will also have the authority to stop a vehicle to inquire about an individual's reason for leaving their residence.
And our inspectors will also be ensuring that those who absolutely must come to work are strictly following the public health measures. For our employers and employees, take note, this is your last warning.
I'm wondering about these new police powers to just randomly stop someone walking down the street or to pull over a car. What happens if a person refuses to answer the police questions?
So by issuing these new additional enforcement measures, it allows police officers to ask the person why they are not at their place of residence and what their place of residence is. And specifically to your question, if you are not willing to comply, then you are breaking the law.
If someone sees their neighbors breaking these new regulations and having a party in their yard, that sort of thing, should people call police on their neighbors?
In terms of people calling to snitch, to inform, look, we all have a personal responsibility. If it means saving lives, then I think we have to think about what your social responsibilities are as an individual to make sure that you don't empower other people and invite a whole bunch of individuals to your home.
So that was a yes. You should call it.
Become a snitch.
Dude, fam, this is a nice form of fascism. This is like the kind Canadian type. Like, we have to.
This is cryptic.
Public measures and whatnot, and
we just want to save lives. Don't you care about saving other people's lives?
Now there's
How dare you?
There's some more information, but before we get to it, because I just want to lay out the story before we see what's happened from the pushback of people going, oh, wait a second, get the hell out of here, you can't do this. Those who will not comply will be issued a ticket, Jones said. The province has not provided further details on possible fines, but she said under the Emergency Management and Civil Protection Act, penalties for non-compliance are set at a minimum of $750. A spokesperson for the Toronto Police Service said they are reviewing the new orders. Prior to any change in our enforcement strategy, we will notify the public on how we plan to implement the new
provincial orders.
Spokesperson Allison Sparks says. John, I think we have to stop it right there because you have some new information, don't you? Ontario retracts the COVID-19 restrictions after criticism from medical experts. Police.
And police. Basically. Yeah, that's what they mean.
I mean, listen, I'm stopping right now because I was just about to start saying some things, but I'm wondering what I can say and what I can't say about, science and the COVID and masks and lockdowns and what these really have resulted in when you look at a lot of the other states and other countries, the states that did have lockdowns. I don't want to get into it because I don't want to push any buttons and stuff like that. But I mean, it was just absurd that they were injecting these rules in the first place. It's ridiculous. I mean, when did science get thrown out the door? When did it really get science? And politicizing a situation just trumps science whatsoever.
Well, weaponizing the whole, you know, we're saving lives here. This is for the good. Be a good, be a good neighbor. Be a good citizen. Like, you write on your friends, follow what the police say, listen to us, comply. Don't question what's going on. And that's the thing. This is why those things are difficult to pass. And I think it would actually be harder here for any of that to come to fruition, because you'd have a lot of people on the left and right, especially on the right, who have been against the lockdowns, protesting that. I mean, I think it would be a lot more difficult. I don't think it's impossible, but I think that's what the government, this is what we've been talking about. This is what people like Whitney Webb and a bunch of other people that have been saying, that this is what the events after post-COVID and after January 6th here in America are meant to basically be used and politicized to impose draconian laws that are inhibiting our First Amendment rights, our Second Amendment rights, our Fourth Amendment rights, etc., because these are our civil liberties. This is like the idea that, hey, Pasta, I don't know if you know, but I'm a civil liberties guy.
You're a civil liberties gal. You're a civil liberties gal. I know it is, but it is all this stuff to go out there. We I mean, everybody's laughing now that I used to say this all the time, but the fact that we talked about it on this network constantly about how important our civil liberties are to us, and then we see people out there who are, kind of pushing back against us. Why do people talk about individual freedoms anyways? Whatnot? You know what I'm saying? It's like, just get in line, be a good person, give over your guns, give over your rights, and now it leads to what?
It leads to this, but the reason why it's gone that way, Pasta, it's because a lot of the times the only people talking about those things recently were on the right. So it automatically got pushed as being like a libertarian or a right-wing talking point when you mention the word civil liberties, right? But back in the day, the left, liberals, used to be for their civil liberties. They used to be anti-censorship, for free speech, like completely just free speech absolutists. I mean, that was the left. Like, the left was against this McCarthyism. Now it's the political left, the neoliberals and the shit libs pushing this whole, like, neo-McCarthyism, pushing this whole, like, we need to censor these people we don't agree with or we don't like. We need to deplatform these fascists. That everybody is a fascist to them. That's the problem. Yeah. Like, it's like, if you actually have a real fascists, it's going to be difficult to get them, because now you're calling everybody a fascist, so that it minimizes everything else. And when you have a situation like this where that could set a precedent, what happened in that area in Canada, if it was allowed to happen, would set a precedent. And trust me, it could definitely happen anywhere. And that's what these last few events, including COVID, have been used to do. And we're going to be talking about that, how that is happening regarding press freedoms and regarding the First Amendment, and how directly that is so connected to everything we have been talking about, not just with, of course, the technological bullshit or the COVID stuff, but specifically regarding why Julian Assange affects everything else, that every issue that you care about.
Yeah, well, first they came for Julian Assange and WikiLeaks, but I didn't work for Julian Assange or WikiLeaks. Now they come for you, right? Let's put this up here, because there is something over here. There's a little silver lining. I don't want to say it's silver lining. What do you call it when it's a dark underlining? After intense backlash, Doug Ford's government on Saturday retracted some of the COVID-19 measures that he announced for Ontario a day earlier. Along with allowing playgrounds to now remain open, Ontario is walking back the increased powers it gave to police. Solicitor General Sylvia Jones says police won't be allowed to randomly stop any pedestrian or driver to ask for their home address and reasons for being out of their residence. Police will only be allowed to ask people for that information if they believe they are participating and an organized public event or social gathering. So really, to tell you the truth, they're giving them a mechanism which they can do anything.
Yeah,
you know,
they're still giving
if
them
it's probable cause,
yeah,
right?
The probable cause. That's what it is.
Here we go.
So like if like it's the same thing. Like if a cop stops you, like they stopped one of our friends, right? Oh, they're leaving a protest. Here's it's late night. I think this person, my cause is, hey, they might be drunk. Let me pull them over.
Yeah.
They don't have to prove that you were drunk, but they have probable cause to think you might be drunk after a protest because, whatever, the LAPD. And so they'll pull you over, they'll do the whole test, and you'll be fine. But it doesn't matter. They still pulled you over. Yeah. And it's these things that keep happening over and over and over and over again. And they get away with it. That's still a little bit of room there that they have to pull to stop someone and be like, where are you going?
The wiggle room's there.
As long as they have cause.
There's a party down the street. We heard it. She was walking that way. I detained her because I want to know if she was going to that party. She started getting lippy with me. Now she's being arrested. She didn't answer my questions. It can just escalate 1, 2, 3. Yeah. It still gives a loophole for the police to go out there and question people, to still have these draconian measures and saying you shouldn't be out, get back to your fucking home. Who cares what science says? And it's just ridiculous.
And I just want to reiterate the fact that even though they pulled back on it, the fact that happened is scary.
That they even went that far.
Yeah.
That they even went that far. And by the way, too, going back to what you were saying before as well, where the liberals were they used to be in a certain place, now they're somewhere else. It all has to do with team sports. Yeah. Team sports has really fucked everything up.
I don't play team sports.
It's made people, I don't play team sports, but it's made people go with a certain ideology because it was anti-Trump. It was anti-right-wing. It was anti-Republican. And you have those trolls out there who still play these games, the people that we argue with all day online, because once again, they're all consumed mentally by team sports. So therefore, if AOC or Bernie Sanders completely goes against everything they once stood for, that's okay because they are team blue.
Remember when we had Jimmy on a few days ago, and he was saying how people, when Bernie Sanders ran the first time, how they were cheering, fuck CNN.
CNN
and
sucks.
Like CNN sucks. And we were saying fuck CNN, but they were saying CNN sucks. They were attacking CNN, and Bernie Sanders himself was attacking the corporate media, including CNN. Then Trump won, and all of that went out the window because the focus came back to being anti-Trump first. Yeah. And that set back a lot of progressives, which is why I think that was all part of the plan. It made a lot of these progressives go back into the Democratic Party and go from voting third party to trying to reform a party which literally cheated them and rigged Bernie's election per WikiLeaks. At least for 2016, we had it in WikiLeaks. We had all that data. I'm just saying, you don't have to say 2020 was anything, but come on, you guys, if they did it in 2016, do you think they didn't in 2020? Yeah, but okay. Yeah. But it was in WikiLeaks, and all of these people knew that. That's why they exited. And then what happened in 2020? We can't let Trump win again. We have to go back and oppose him, and that's what it's been ever since.
Come this way.
And with the help of Bernie and the squad as well.
They did. And to be honest, not to be honest, but just to point something out, that in 2016 in Santa Monica, in the hangar, is where the Bernie rally was in California. I was on the bleachers in the part behind Bernie, whatnot, and we were with some dudes, and they were like, dude, there's CNN. And I'm like, yeah, CNN sucks. And then the other dude's like, CNN sucks. And then all of a sudden we started going, CNN sucks. And the whole place erupted saying, CNN sucks. And really, to tell you the truth, it was somewhat kind of like it was the end of the road for a lot of progressives saying the mainstream media, what they've done, this whole fucking primary is discussing the Bernie Sanders. They would show Trump's empty podium instead of Bernie's speech.
They helped elect Trump.
Yeah.
They helped elect Trump.
So, I mean, we were starting to get at him. It's just weird how everything changed. It's unfortunate what Bernie did. I still remember Portia Boulder coming out of the conference in Philadelphia when Bernie was trying the first time, that Bernie was like, brothers and sisters, we need to vote for Hillary Clinton. And he was getting booed. And he was brothers and sisters. And people coming out of that conference going, I don't give a fuck about Trump. Like, you know what I'm saying? And something from that point right there, it just
4 years later, it was some of those same people saying we have to get rid of Donald Trump, and it was like no, like it, and the whole thing, like failing to leave the party and all this stuff. But this is where we're at right now, right? The reason we're talking about that is because a lot of people have gone backwards
They have.
instead of moving forward, which is why there's such a, like, people are like, oh, Jimmy Dore is dividing the left. You're dividing the left. It's like, no. Like, we're actually going this way, and people want to like stay where they are. And that's impossible. You shouldn't. You should be progressing. Our show, if you watch the beginning part of our show in late 2017, early 2018, you're going to see a development from then till now, and we should be happy about that because we have ourselves grown as a people, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't like Donald Trump at all, but Joe Biden, in a way, in my personal opinion, I think could be a little bit worse because he has the mainstream media to go out there to tell these lies, to act like he's pulling out of Afghanistan, to act like they've given you the best thing. But in reality, they're really screwing you behind your back. It's more dangerous in a way because it does make us go backwards in some senses. You know what I'm saying?
In some senses, I agree because that's what I remember we put that interview with the BLM protester when we were covering the protests, and it was a BLM protester saying, I don't care. I think having a Biden presidency is worse because these people aren't going to come out and in the same way. Yeah. And guess what? I don't see the same amount of people. I mean, these recent few shootings have sparked more. We're going to be talking about that, more protests and stuff. And I hope that the abuses happening in the next thing we're going to talk about spark people to continue, because regarding the immigration issue, people are not protesting the way they were when it was Trump in there. They're just not. And I want that to change, which is why we're talking about it, because otherwise this is going to be just another Obama, let's all go to sleep moment. And we can't allow that to happen again because we really can't afford it. Yeah.
Foreign policy has been disaster too as well since we've made the change. We'll talk about that too as well. Not that Mr. Donald, I like to bomb the hell out of Afghanistan while I'm telling people I'm going to end the war, but never do it. I don't want to hear your excuses. I'm sorry. I think we were kind of going the right way when we were pointing out the very bad faults of the Democratic Party, but still mentioning that it's no different than what's going on in the Republican Party. You meet the new boss, same as the old boss. It's the two-party illusion. We need to fucking break it. We need to get away from it. Yep. It really does disgust me, the fact that Bernie Sanders didn't leave that party, the Democratic Party, and become a Green, run with Jill Stein as his vice president in 2016, because he might not have won then, and he might have let Donald Trump win. But come 2020, had he stayed on that route, he would have wiped the floor with him. If he would have stayed true to his words and not capitulate to the Democratic Party. If he would have fought for election
integrity.
Exactly.
At least
so many other things,
we would have shed light on a lot of things,
Costello left a nice tip over there, by the way. Thank you so much for the Super Ray. It is always appreciated on the account. We almost got 50 people. Johnny, anything to say on the first subject over there as far as Ontario? Do you want to go take a trip there and see what's going on? And just get some cameras and some cops' faces over there? Well,
the cops aren't militarized like they are.
No, they say that the Ontario cops or the Canadian cops are very much like the British cops. Like, they're very nice. Like, hello. All right, we're out of here right now. Let's get to the next one. Footage. We have to talk about this because this is something that's really is really serious. I think you guys have been really awesome when it comes to this, as far as moving out to these protests and making sure that you see what's going on. And, it's always been ticky-tacky, but now it seems it's even worse, where they really are trying to scare journalists out of filming what's actually going on. And they don't want their actions to be seen. They want them just like, with Julian Assange does. They don't want the empire to be exposed. So what we have here is what's going on. Obviously, in Minnesota, there's a lot of protests going on. So, fam, your tweet. Let's start it off. Brooklyn Center.
Right. So, in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, the reports were that journalists were being forced to a gas station as a media checkpoint by the police. And this is where the State Patrol photographed the credentials and the faces of all these journalists. And many had guns pointed at them and were harassed or arrested during this whole night. Okay, and I thought this is a violation of our civil liberties, because it is. It is also obviously a lot of other things, but it's first and foremost, if you want to attack it via the law, it's a violation of our civil liberties. So let's just watch the video and then I'll say a couple things.
Get on the right.
That is utter fucking ridiculousness, fam.
Yeah.
Utter ridiculousness.
Yeah. So one of the things I wanted to point out in my thread was the hypocrisy that I've seen from a lot of the supposed free speech advocates on the right who are, Cassandra Fairbanks, all those people that advocate, press freedom. I hate people telling me what to do, what to say, and I love my civil liberties. But a lot of the times, and that goes for DeSantis too, it's free speech for me and not for thee. Yeah. So it depends on the ideology. It happens both on the left and right. So if I'm going to criticize the left when they fucking are hypocrites, I'm going to criticize the right as well. And I said, if you're a free speech advocate, you don't get to stay silent because it's journalists covering a protest you don't like, or because the cops are doing it, so you must back the blue, which is what I've been seeing a lot. That makes you a goddamn hypocrite. And I said, we're going to spot the real grifters real quick because, again, like if you're part of this culture war where you always have to back the police or you always have to pretend that Democrats are helping with BLM, you're part of this culture war that's going to perpetuate this idea that, for instance, like I say here, later on, I say, I was attacked. We were attacked when we were trying to say that not everybody on January 6th was a Nazi or a white supremacist, that there were a lot of people who weren't that there were a lot of families. We got attacked for that. I got attacked in a thread for saying that Ashley Babbitt shouldn't have been shot. And literal leftists were saying, not a dead Nazi is a good Nazi, things like that. And I was meant to be the bad guy in that conversation. And I was saying, no, I'm not okay with police shooting any unarmed people. Okay, period. And that is consistency. What isn't consistency is when you're okay if it's somebody that you like or stands behind your ideology. And so not allowing the filming of protests and not allowing the protests to happen is unconstitutional. It's in the Constitution, by the way, for a lot of people who really follow the Constitution. Your First Amendment right is in there. The right to protest, the right for peaceful assembly, the right to free speech, in the right of the freedom of the press. The press is allowed to film, as are now individuals, because everybody has a fucking phone. And another connection I wanted to make, fam, which I know you can speak to as well, is the connection to Julian Assange. Now, some people are like, how dare you make this about Julian Assange? I don't make this about Julian Assange. It is about free speech. So that includes Julian Assange. Yeah. We're talking about journalists filming the abuses of the police or of whatever, like of the oppressors of the empire. And if we can't do that, then if we're going to be punished for that, that's the same thing that Julian got punished for, except it wasn't the state police or the state patrol. It was the national security state. You need to understand that this is daddy and this is son, and there's no separation. They're linked. So this
daddy
is
and uncle, maybe.
Whatever. Like, it's the fucking same shit. Like, it's all connected. So there's no... It doesn't make any sense to me to simp for the cops, no matter what, if you're complaining against who's going to come confiscate your guns, who's going to come force vaccines on you, who's going to ensure a lockdown for all of the people that are afraid of lockdowns. It's the cops. Yeah. They're not your friends, dude.
They don't serve you, right?
They serve the empire.
They serve the empire, and that's something. And really, to tell you the truth, on January 6th, the most kind of like eye-opening chant I heard was from a lot of Trumpers who like get tear gassed or pushed away. Come on, Blue, we fought for you. Like they realized, and we're looking at them like, okay, you understand that these people don't serve you. Yeah. They're just going to serve who's in charge. And I said earlier in the show, first they came for Julian Assange and WikiLeaks, but I didn't work for Julian Assange and WikiLeaks. Well, guess what? Now they're coming for you, and that's why it is so important. The biggest protest should be doubled for Julian Assange for what he did, because it's really, really nuanced. Because if they can arrest Julian Assange and they can hold him and silence him, they can do it to anybody. Right. That means the empire's action, either at home or abroad, can be silenced and shut down, and you can't see what's going on. And that was supposed to be one of the things about being an American, is that we had the right to the fourth estate, to know what's going on, to hold our government accountable. They don't want you seeing what's going on. And in this case over here, it seems they've hit another level, fam. You know what I'm saying? And it's one thing if you say, okay, well, I don't like the BLM protesters. I don't like all these people out there. I think what they stand for sucks. But how could you possibly say that journalists can't go in there and film what's going on?
Yeah.
And the fact that you're allowing this to happen or actually cheering
You
on
don't have
this
to
form
like
of
it.
censorship, it's crazy.
You don't have to like it. I don't like the right-wing ideology, but I always said they had the right to protest.
Exactly.
You don't have to like it. But by the way, it's they're also filming abuses. Like we've seen it here in LA, and I'm going to show that how the police have acted towards protesters too. And some of these protesters are citizen journalists. And some so that line is still it's kind of blurring because we're in a place where we have technology and we have phones. And so while everybody has the right to protest, do journalists have more, power? I don't know. That's not something though for a cop or a law enforcement official to determine. That's for the courts to determine. That's not for the police to say, "Oh, your badge looks like it's not up to our standards. You're not a journalist." Sorry, that's not how it works. Because that's what they do to independent media, not because of the fucking badge, but because they don't want us. They know that we're going to be fair and more critical compared to, I don't know, Fox, CNN, MSNBC, the people who they're like, hey, oh, cops, great job, thank you, officer. No, we're gonna film what's going on, and if you don't want your shit to be filmed, then don't do anything bad. That's the whole point. We're not making shit up. We're just there to make sure that the people are protected.
Against them. They don't want evidence against them, and we've said this before. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people are going to disagree and stuff like that, but the majority of the people starting problems at these protests have been the police officers. Sorry, I apologize if you don't like that, or you can't accept that, or your mindset is you think that it's always the protesters doing shit and doing riots or whatnot. No, the majority of time is the police firing tear gas, firing rubber bullets, whatnot. And they should just, if they have a problem and they're saying, okay, that's not a journalist, he's just an agitator with a camera, just give him specific instructions, but he has to be there to film stuff. And they want this whole, once we clear out an area, if you're a journalist or you're a civilian, you got to get out of there. No, if there's civilians left behind and you're a journalist, you should be able to stay behind to film what's going on.
That's what we did last time. Like when we were out with Gloria and Johnny, we were there. We were following as they were pushing in on the protesters because we don't know what could happen.
Exactly.
We don't know. And we have to, who's going to be there to hold them accountable if we're not there? Yeah. How many times has Johnny saved somebody from being arrested by being there? I mean, I can count at least 2 times. One with when they were arresting a bunch of kids as they were going to their cars. Another one when they had pulled over somebody that was an activist and were trying to stop them and arrest them and their dog and all. It was this whole thing. And that's the job of the press. That was supposed to be the job of the press. Yeah. It's not to sit in a cozy CNN studio and just push this whole culture war narrative of, oh, Antifa, oh, this and that and all this other crap that's going on. It's not. And we are all Assange because those people, all those journalists they're all Assange. So here's another angle, fam, that
this is really this is disgusting if you watch them. This is intimidation. This is, where are the Nazis? Right here. And the people there with their hands up, making them with their hands up.
We don't want you here. We don't want you getting hurt, okay?
Oh, yeah.
In your vehicles, we'll get you out this way, and you're heading out that way. No other option.
It's put
your hands up, and they're trying to scare them.
Yeah,
they're trying to scare them, so they don't want them there watching over them and recording. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to scare them from doing their job. That is some fascist shit right there, ladies and gentlemen. I don't give a shit what anybody says. That is some fascist shit. You don't do that. You can have disagreements about, you might not like whatever side's protesting, but to say that fucking journalist, and we've had badges before where they haven't let you in and say, oh, I don't like that badge enough. It's bullshit. It's bullshit.
It's bullshit.
It's bullshit.
So John Farina said, police started this bullshit 3 nights ago. My friend a gray photo experienced being tackled, detained, and charged for doing his job. Multiple reports, by the way, of press being arrested, of press being mangled, harassed, etc. So that was just one aspect we saw at the gas station. That was their supposed media checkpoint. So the tweet was deleted. Don't know why, but here's the video that was deleted.
Like, come on, you know he's got a camera and everything. It's like,
I'm going. I'm going to my car. Go down. I'm going, sorry. Go down. Go down the ground. I'm pressed. I'm going to my car. Get down on the ground and give you. I'm just going to my car, sir. I'm going over there. Okay. I'm going to my car. I'm legally allowed to be here. Sir, I was just going to my car.
Yeah, he
That
is
was
legally
fucked
allowed
up.
to be there.
That was
they
so
tackled the
fucked
guy.
up.
They fucking, like the screen goes black. This is from Emma, who was at the Julian Assange protest in D.C. She said, reminder that there was no curfew last night. At Brooklyn Center announced an emergency curfew after they kettled and began detaining and making arrests. Many folks didn't get the 11 on curfew alert on their phones until 9 to 12 minutes after 11. So she's there. She's that's where she lives. So she was saying that about the curfew that people didn't get, because that happens all the time. It happened, I think, when we were covering LA, where they would set up a curfew and then they were like, oh, okay, and people didn't know, and then that's when they started arresting people. They fucking play these games.
Yeah, I even saw a tweet. I didn't want to put it in there because I think it's just all for show. It really is just lip service. CNN,
of course, yeah,
complaining, whatnot. Did you like those two terminologies? I used those to replace my old world. All for show. All right, so what do you got here? Jasper Cole.
Jasper Cole. After quickly dispersing protesters in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota tonight, police surrounded members of the media and made us lie flat out on our stomachs. Then they then photographed our faces, credentials, and identification before allowing us to leave the perimeter. So that's where that's more of the media center lying flat on our stomachs.
Well, Biden's going to have a press conference, right, and address this and stuff like this.
Oh, yeah.
Right? He's going to talk about
we voted
the
out fascism,
state.
so
the fascism is gone. Listen, we didn't see this last time. Remember we were doing shows when we were in Minnesota the first time where the guy was laying on, he's like on press, and then he gets gassed on the floor. We saw a little bit of that here and there. This is like tenfold right now what's going on. This is amped up on fucking steroids right here. The assault against the press, ladies and gentlemen. They don't want
it's been happening, but
anything. This is ridiculous now.
Yeah, and the thing is, they have been amping up too because of, this is the second one with Dante Wright. And so they're like, oh, we don't want what happened to George Floyd. So that's going to be the excuse. Well, that already happened, so we don't want it to get worse and blah, blah, blah. And that's the thing. I know that there was a couple of Boogaloo Boys, Black Panthers, and other groups that told the protesters, hey, we're willing to go protect you. BLM groups, Black Panther groups, and some Boogaloo Boys who are in the area said, we'll go protect you. Let us come in. They rejected them. Some of the protesters, they rejected them overwhelmingly. And so they backed off. And it's because you can open carry, I believe, there. And so they kept saying, if you have militias, they're less likely to tear gas you and blah, blah, blah. And some of these people are anti-gun. So again, I just want to say being anti-gun is like, while the police, the military, and these goons are armed, doesn't make any sense at all. Like, I'm not saying I want you to all to become gung-ho Wild West gun carriers. What I am saying is, right now, the empire is armed.
Yeah.
So to be against people having arms is a really stupid thing.
Yeah. A Sky Daddy who is lit. Her tweets are just awesome. You got to follow this Twitter right here, fam.
Yeah, so of course politicians always weaponize this culture war, right? They always do, but they don't do anything to help out. So she said, ask yourself, do you think these people care about you or poor Black lives? Do you think the mainstream media promotes articles to fuel a working class revolution? Stop being reactive and analyze. They want an unorganized riot to rationalize more control. They control through chaos, and that's exactly it. They want people to start fighting each other with riots. And here's Maxine Waters. She tells protesters to stay in the street, be more confrontational. if Chauvin's acquitted. She said this, but does she want to defund the police? No. Does she want to defund the Pentagon? No. Does she want to do anything to demilitarize the police even? Is she going to impose any legislative change? She's not going to do it. It's all talk so black people can say, Maxine cares about our rights and let's vote for her. That's how she's maintained power for so long. Auntie Maxine, Sister Maxine.
Yeah,
it's
Auntie
through that
Maxine.
fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
She's one of these people that weaponizes people of color to get their votes and does absolutely nothing to actually change.
Doesn't even live in a district. And, I know a lot of people were also coming out saying, well, what Donald Trump said, is it different than what Maxine Waters is doing? It's kind of like it's a thin line. It's like, yeah, it's very much the same. You know what I'm saying? It's very much the same. So if not anything, this is a little bit more.
But that's what they're
risque.
even if it's not the same.
Yeah.
But that's what they're going to use.
That's what they are. No matter what, they're going to weaponize it back and forth.
It keeps going
Yeah.
back and forth, and we don't get any results.
Yes.
Chris Cuomo said police reform won't happen until white kids start getting killed. Nice one, Chris Cuomo. He said, you'll see a wave of change in access and accountability. We saw it in the 60s. That's when it changes because that's when it's you. So again, they're trying to weaponize all of this to continue this culture war, but none of these people are offering actual solutions. Mainstream media is just there to fuel the fire.
That's it.
That's
all there is.
Fox says one thing, CNN says another.
Yeah.
They go back and forth. That's all they're there for. That's the whole point.
Just to reiterate, there's an article from The Hill, too, as well, that talks about the journalist alleged harassment by law enforcement amid Minneapolis police. So it is more than just, it's a lot of journalists this time. You know what I'm saying? It's not just the citizen journalists that we talked about that had every single right to get in their streets and do what they got to do. In fact, I think at the last time when you guys went to the Echo Park location, you interviewed a young man from the press who had actually, it seemed like he got up to gear with his gear. He had his badge on, whatnot. We see a lot more like that stuff going on. I think Vishal has a press kind of vest now, too, as well. Identifying themselves as press.
Yeah,
and then
they got
showing
arrested.
that they have a right. Yeah.
They all got arrested in Echo Park. There was, I think, 9 journalists arrested. In 2020, we did see Josie Huang. We saw a CNN guy be escorted out. Remember, we were arrested too. So it was happening. But what happened in Minneapolis is like tenfold because of the militarization of the police there, and because they're an open carry state, so they can carry guns there. So I think that's why they're a little shifty. But it's again. Are people calling out and saying, look at what Trump's doing, look at what Biden's doing? They're not. And this is why we do what we do, because we're calling it out.
Yeah. By the way, The Hill just kind of points out that journalists alleged Saturday that they had been harassed by law enforcement amid protest in Minneapolis, sparked by the police killing of 20-year-old Dante Wright last Sunday. Reporters described accounts of being forced to lie on their stomachs, photographed, and physically attacked while covering Friday's protest. Jasper Colt, a photojournalist for USA Today.
Yeah, that was a guy we read this week.
Exactly. For USA Today. I just wanted to point it out.
That was USA Today. So it's not just now independent media. It's a mainstream media as well. The last year and, into this year have been really draconian for press freedoms. I mean, it's been really bad for us all. And it's only going to get worse, especially after January 6th and especially with the COVID restrictions as COVID continues to be.
But it's okay, fam, because it's Minnesota and we have progressive warrior Keith Ellison. They're fighting for us, right?
I remember when I liked Keith Ellison.
Yeah, but he's been crap on a lot of things since. He's been terrible. We were really actually rooting for him to win the DNC chair position against your boy. What's his name?
God, I can't stand him.
What's the DNC chair?
Tom
Perez.
Yeah.
But Ellison did not. It says, listen to this. This is just disgusting. Ellison opposes a motion to exempt journalists from arrest during protest. Why? Why would you do this? The Office of Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison is opposing a motion that seeks to exempt journalists from arrest or use of force during the protest. In June, the ACLU sued law enforcement and the city of Minneapolis for allegedly targeting journalists trying to cover protests after the death of George Floyd, seeking damages for injured journalists and temporary restraining orders to ban law enforcement from using force, including tear gas and rubber bullets, against the media. They said that police actions violated the First, Fourth, and 14th Amendments. Now, Ellison's office is arguing that a court should deny a similar motion from a group of journalists for a temporary restraining order against law enforcement in the wake of protest over the police killing Dante Wright. They say there is no precedent for the First Amendment protection against a dispersal order. So, fam, this is what it's talking about. It's really talking about a dispersal order. They say, disperse from this area, everybody get out, everybody has to leave. Including journalists, is what they're saying.
Yeah.
But if people stay behind, a journalist like Johnny, you, myself, should be able to stay there and like, we leave when they leave because we have every right to show the public the treatment of these particular protesters.
As they're arresting them. That's the most important part. I want to see how they're grabbing them, what they're saying to them, what they're doing. Are they destroying their phones? Are they violating any of their civil liberties? Are they doing what they're supposed to be doing within the realm of the law? And that's what journalists are there to do. To hold them accountable. If you can't do that, then you're not doing your job as a journalist. And if the law is saying that they can't, the police have oversight on what journalists do, then we live in a fascist state. Because if I can't film people doing abuses, then what the fuck are we doing?
Breaking news: checking prices on flights to Minnesota. Johnny's like, that's it.
I asked one of our friends that's there how long this is going to happen, and they said, well, probably for the rest of the summer. You got the rest of the summer. It's going to continue. We don't know how bad it's going to get. But if they're treating journalists like this, I mean, like I said, you got to make sure you have all your things on. But even they don't even care. Look, the USA Today guy, they're fucking going after everybody.
I think that a lot of the elites understand that these particular type of protests is what really divides a lot of Americans about the way they feel. So they're going to really kind of amp up stuff that keeps us divided.
But here's the thing. This is now not just Black Lives Matter. This is now free speech, freedom of the press. Now people need to understand these connections better. That's why I'm making those connections. It's not because I'm trying to replace Assange with the death of Daunte Wright. It's because Assange, if as a journalist, would be filming the abuses of the empire. That's what he covered. Yeah. A lot of other journalists are filming the abuses of police on people. That's what they're covering. It's the same fucking thing. Yeah. It's just a different department. It's the same overall job. It's the police state that we live in. And we're telling you, we've been telling you this is going to happen. And this is happening now at an accelerated rate. And people, Steve and a lot of our Assange friends were like, damn it, we saw you and Johnny and Gloria out there. Where were all those people for the Assange protest? I'm like, I know.
Yeah.
And we were shouting, fuck CNN too.
Could I say something too, though? Fam, you guys were really awesome in that thing because what you, Johnny, and Gloria did was provide dialogue which needs to go on in that place. I was really desperately looking for some people from the protest to go have those dialogue with those assholes because we saw more people getting riled up. We saw the dude on the fucking skateboard getting pissed off, using his mouth. Saw a dude on the street get in a car telling people to go fuck off. It seems like now it's everybody's pitted against each other now rather than really concentrating and focusing and talking about what's going on. You know what I'm saying? So I think we need to have more dialogue out there and discover more dialogue and film more dialogue and see where people can talk about these situations.
And that's why I love the Fred Hampton leftists. I saw a lot of them saying, hey, like this, stop saying this, that talking about Assange is wrong because this is related to that. You need journalists. Like, I don't care what protest you're at. You need journalists to make sure that it goes well. And that's the thing. You need people to look at to what the not just politicians are doing, but the police officers and those above them and those above them. But that goes against to my point. The police are stormtroopers. Okay. They have way less power than we think they do. Yeah. They take orders. We need to start understanding as a working class how to go directly to the source of the chaos, whether it's the mayor and then who's the mayor getting orders from? It's the governor, and then the governor is it a federal thing? Exactly. At that point, you need to start understanding the stormtroopers are in your way. They're fighting. They're doing all these things. But who's really behind? It's it's Darth Vader or Count Dooku or whatever.
Portland, we knew who it was, right? We were pointing right up top. Trump, this is an asinine move. Get these fucking troops out of here. This is so stupid. I mean, listen, we got that whole van smashed in. We saw how scary it was. They were out there in
They're
full
pointing
gears.
guns at you.
Like, there's laser beams coming from top. There's rubber bullets. There's the real gas shit, the shit they use in Fallujah. It was no joke, man. So we knew exactly who to point the finger to, and that has to happen over here. Right now, there should be a protest out in front of Mr. Ellison's office right now. The fact that he's trying to suppress the media from doing their jobs. And the fact that, you know what I'm saying, and we said this, fam, you know, the whole freaking censorship shit, it's all tied in together and stuff like that. We knew that the Biden administration took so much money from these fucking goons and big tech that they would come forth and silence our voices and control what we can see and hear. And they're trying to do it on the streets. They're trying to do it on the internet. They're trying to do it everywhere. They're trying to control us every single step of the way, and we have to start pushing back and fighting
Exactly, and it doesn't matter because remember, what's his face put that order against protesters under the Trump administration.
You're talking about sedition for Pompeo. He threatened Barr. He threatened sedition, right?
It was William Barr. He said yes, he would. He would. Sedition. Yeah. So is Biden gonna overturn that? Is Biden gonna? No, they're not. It's the same shit. New boss, same as the old boss.
So you got this guy. Explain to what's going on. You guys know this. A gentleman.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
So we had our fam. His name is Mr. Neil, and he found us on the street. Now, he had an old Twitter profile that got taken down, and whatever, all of these leftist ones were taken down. But he found us, and he said, "Hey, I love the Convo Couch. I watched the Convo Couch." And we were like, "Hey, what's up?" So he was actually protesting. He went straight after work, and then he messaged me this video the day after, and was telling me how scared he was, because what happened is, as Johnny, Gloria, and I were we were moving straight as the police were coming and moving along to like push the protesters out. I don't think they made any arrests that night because we were there until pretty much the protesters dispersed. And so what happened was he was walking away and they were leaving. There was a unmarked black police vehicle, and it had other vehicles that were normal behind it. And so he's talking to a girl. I think she takes pictures, and he was talking to her, and then he was saying, "Hey, you got to be careful because this is how they try to arrest people." So they're just walking, and then the door opens, and then out comes these cops, and they chase him, and he's just running. And you can see it in the video. We can just go ahead and watch the video. But he was telling me how scared he was, and we're gonna hear the audio because he hid under two different vehicles. The first one he hid under a trailer, the second one he hid under a truck. And I mean, we shouldn't be putting fear. And by the way, this person is black, and I gotta say, and I've talked to Niko about this, there's that sense of fear that happens, even for me. Like when you see a cop, if you get pulled over, there's a sense of fear that takes over for a lot of people, and that can't be, denied. But also the fact that, you're just walking and all of a sudden these people chase you. It's like, wait a minute, like I was leaving the area. I did what you asked me to do, and you're still gonna target me? Yeah. Let's watch.
Nice. I am, yeah.
Hey, nice photos. I love your photos.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, this is the block right here. They're gonna try to box us in. Protesters need to spread out. They keep. That's how you get arrested out here.
And they target him. They don't target the girl. They didn't target her.
He just took off running, huh?
Yeah.
You saw the doors open up, right, guys?
Yeah.
They were waiting.
Yeah, I asked if they targeted anybody else. He said no, just her. So this is what they do. They point to people. They had pointed to him before. We've seen it happen where they're like, oh, this person and that person. So they know who they want to target. Because, they didn't even look at us, really. They knew we were pressed. Sometimes they care and sometimes they don't care. So you never know. Yeah, I don't know. They could be like, oh.
But if they're getting an okay from somebody up top to harass the press, take their information and stuff, that's when it gets all stupid.
So he's trying to find a place to hide. That was the first attempt. Then what happens after is he thought the coast was clear after. So then he ends up coming out once he thought the coast was clear, and there's a cop that comes around and starts chasing him again, which we'll hear in the next. It's a quick audio of him being like under the car. Yeah, I mean, it's scary. I mean, you don't want to get arrested, and you also don't know, people have fear of what's going to happen if I have an interaction with a cop. That's something like
They're looking for me. They got a target on me, guys.
He was telling me they were pointing at him, like I said before.
Keep you updated in the morning.
So he thought that was done, and then, like I said, he went out
and
again,
the coast was
and
not clear.
The coast was not clear, so this is when he's hiding under. It's just audio.
That's what's so fucking scared. I don't know how long they're gonna look for me. I'm under somebody's car.
People shouldn't be scared like that. This is not cool. Also, I want to reiterate the fact that that was after the press had left, right? So they waited till after we all had left,
And then they go.
and then they go after certain people. Somebody got pulled over too on their way home. Said that they were drunk. This person isn't even allowed to drink. They were not drunk, and like and it's like this thing where, again, it's that probable cause thing. Like, oh, we thought you could be blah blah blah, and this is why. If I had been there filming, it's different. Like this is why the press is important. I just want to keep reiterating.
Yeah,
that.
well, we saw it too in Portland, right? When they were going after the suspected Antifa members. It's like they came out, they grabbed them, Fourth Amendment, right? Unlawful searches and seizures. Okay, and brought them in, and now they're trying to do the same thing with a lot of BLM members. It seems like, or members of the protest here in LA. So I mean, it's terrible. It's a full-on Nazi attack. And then Ron DeSantis, who pretty much had a great health panel the other day, the video was banned from YouTube. He brought in experts from Oxford, Harvard, Stanford, talking about lockdowns and all this stuff. They actually took the video down from YouTube, and we've commended some of the great work he's done when it comes to elections. But this area, fam, you mentioned this a couple weeks ago, when you first saw the bill.
Yeah.
It's a very big no-no. It's terrible. I am very upset that Ron DeSantis has signed this controversial anti-riot bill into law. So now it seems like we're playing tic-tac. Tick for tack.
It's partisan
insurrection.
politics.
You're going to fucking call them domestic terrorists. Well, we're going to make it harder for BLM or anybody else to have protests. In fact, if there's four of them, 4 people getting together, we're going to give ourselves, the police, the ability to arrest them and call it a riot.
Yeah,
so
you're against lockdowns, but you're going to give the police more power, which, I mean, if a federal mandate declares it, the police are going to be the ones enforcing lockdowns, you dumbass. So, there you go. So, again, we already went over this. It basically says that if the police deem something a riot, if it's, I think, 3 or 4 more people, they
double the fines for statues.
Double the fines.
Double the
went
times
over it.
for statues.
It's really bad.
It's so stupid.
So there you go. That's Florida. That's, it's our home state. I'm not surprised that this happened. With the way the ideology leans in Florida, of course, I'm not surprised it happens. But what worries me here is a precedent. This could set a precedent that other states could follow. And of course, especially now with what's happening in Minnesota and Chicago, there was protests there for Adam. All of these things happening, this could set a precedent. They could be like, oh, let's push this. This is fine.
It's
blah
just
blah blah.
Stupid too.
That is going to help. Do you not see what Sky Daddy was saying? This is what they want. They want people to they want to make it like protests or riots. So then they can say we need to stop these riots. So then they can impose the laws, and they want to do the whole COVID's still dangerous. So let's impose these laws, and if everything's crazy, they're just going to shut everything down. That's not a conspiracy. That's like what is on the mindset. This is what people have been talking about for a long time.
Yeah, and how can he be the governor that's going to open up your state first? You're going to be the anti-mask, pro-freedom fucking governor, then turn around and sign a fascist bill like this. And it's just fascist, dude. This is so stupid. Johnny's got something up from the People's City Council, L.A. You want to read it, Johnny?
Yeah.
It says, if you're wondering why it looks like the police are at war with us, the United States police spending ranks third among worldwide military expenditures.
Military? We're saying our police spends half of what China spends on their military bill. That's crazy.
More than India, which has how many billions of people?
They got nuclear weapons.
Almost 2 billion.
Yeah,
people.
they got a lot of people.
Russia.
Yep. Saudi
Arabia.
Arabia. I mean,
even Saudi Arabia.
Arabia.
Who's at war right now because they don't like the Houthis, and they're bombing the shit out of Yemen. They're using they're fueling jets in the air and landing and bombing
And we're worse than
and
Saudi
our
Arabia.
police department spends more money than Saudi fucking Arabia.
This is precisely what I mean, that there's no separation. I mean, we're talking about the whole complex, the whole, national security state apparatus. This includes the police in states. This includes the military. It includes these the FBI, the CIA. It includes all these people. That is why. That's what we're talking about here, guys.
Yeah.
This is what we're talking about. We need, if you're going to do protests, come on. Align yourself with the people who are true free speech advocates, who are true anti-imperialists, who are going to hold the empire accountable, because it's not going to be enough to say, I want to defund the police. It's not, because the police, who's going to defund the police? You think the politicians are going to defund the police? No, they're never going to fucking do it, because they need them to enforce the law. So who do you have to go
protect their
after?
neighborhoods,
You have
too.
to go after the big guns and defund the Pentagon, which is why I'm wearing my shirt.
Yeah, and by the way, it's a crime to be poor. It's crime to be homeless nowadays. How about you take that money you got right there for the United States, please cut it in half and spend it on housing, so you don't have to make all these fucking arrests and lock people up for being poor. How about that? It's just so stupid the way we spend our money and everything like that. It's politicized up to yin yang.
And I just want to say that down here it says military expenditures refer to 2019 via the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute. Police expenditures refer to 2018 via the U.S. Census Bureau. So imagine
what it is now.
What it is now.
Because I know in L.A. alone,
Yeah.
last year, millions of dollars.
Skyrocketed.
Millions of dollars. So,
Really quick, Bethlehem Tessa Faye, what's up?
Hey.
You left some shit. Love you. Thank you so much. Hunter C.
Hunter Carranza.
Carranza. What happened? You changed your name? I want to say the name. Love you, fam. You guys are consistent, and your work is much appreciated on the couch. Hunter and Ty, we love you. Ereviagas, thank you so much for the tip. Trey Wright. Fuck the police. Abolish and start the hell over. Start the hell over. Start the whole thing.
We're gonna have to
Reimagine
start
the play. Well, fam, it's like you said, we don't need election reform. We need election revolution. We need policing revolution.
that's never going to happen until the predator class is
Gone.
And until
the
you
Pentagon.
do this, you have to go after that. They are the ones telling them basically down the line what to do.
All right, let's get through this last section because it really is important to what's going on. It also gives you a little bit of insight and enlightenment. I don't want to say enlightenment, but understanding to why a person like Joe Biden would get elected and why the military apparatus would be behind him. Because since he's got into play, and I was telling fam the other day, just today actually, that it really reminds us of the way we play fucking chess. And we'll get into that and stuff like that because fam is really good. And I come out very aggressive, all guns a blazing.
He does.
And then when I'm ready to make my move, fam has already set it up like, oh, you can't do that. Oh, you can't do that. And next thing you know, I'm backpedaling. And that's what military United States foreign policy has been since Joe Biden has gotten office, particularly towards Russia. And I'm going to explain that because this is how everything ties in together. Russia arrests 2 alleged Belarus coup plotters. It says Russia's main security agency says it has arrested 2 Belarusians who said they were preparing a plot to overthrow Belarus government and kill authoritarian president Alexander Lukashenko. Notice how they threw that authoritarian in there, okay, by the way. One of the men arrested, Alexander Fedor, was Lukashenko's spokesman when he was first elected back in 1994, but later joined the opposition. The other, lawyer Yoris Zayanakovich, has dual Belarusian U.S. citizenship. The federal security state said Saturday the 2 have been handed over to Belarus. Russian authorities were alerted to the information about the men's plans by the Belarusian security service, the KG Bizzle. So, fam, what happened was that right now listen, I've spoke to somebody from Belarus, a friend of ours, whatnot, and if you look up and you see a little history, Lukashenko's had a little bit of this kind of like anxiety or what's the word I'm looking for when you're paranoid and stuff that he's going to be killed, and he's always talked about situations like that before, like, oh, they tried to kill me and whatnot. I think a lot of leaders like that feel that way. Erdogan just arrested a bunch of admirals and whatnot. In Jordan, there was some shit going on. When your job is unstable and you can be taken out at any time, paranoia seems to set in. So even though that is the case, it seems like this has been true. I know I'm waiting for a lot of Western media to start spinning this right now and saying that Putin made this whole thing up. It was a lie, whatnot. But as we know, And the whole situation that happened, that NATO really wanted Belarus to be a state, not just a client state, a member state. And they offered that. But we've said before, Belarus has always understood that Putin butters his bread, and he would not leave and go join NATO.
He was trying to play both sides.
Yes. But that hasn't stopped the West from really trying to get over there and try to do things. And it seems like everything that happened at one time is a coordinated attack. So you have this right here.
Yeah, so this is from RT, and reportedly Russia banned the FBI and DNI directors Susan Rice and John Bolton, and of course the Attorney General Garland, from entering in a new tit for tat on the sanctions blacklist. So basically what they're saying is that Russia is kind of counterattacking against the sanctions that began I think what was it, like last year or I'm not exactly.
I mean, there's been sanctions going on for
yeah,
years.
I mean, but they amped up the sanctions, and they're banned from actually coming into Moscow, which is kind of funny. And among the list, like I said, it's the FBI director Christopher Wray, Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Nicolas Mayorkas, Attorney General Merrick Garland, and then, of course, Susan Rice and the Director of National Intelligence, Avril Haines. And then they also blocked the Director of Federal Bureau of Prisons, Michael Carvajal, and the former National Security Advisor, John Bolton, and CIA Director, James Woolsey. So they literally banned all the big guns, okay? Yeah. And, so it was March 2nd when this last round of just retaliatory sanctions began, and they joined the U.S. The U.S. Office of Foreign Assets joined the U.S. Department of State and Commerce and hit Moscow with this as a, quote, response to Russia's poisoning and subsequent imprisonment of none other than Alexander Navalny.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Well, I think the thing is that once again, it's like the elites are trying to do the same thing. They're trying to pick up where they left off when the Obama administration exited out of office. We talked about it with Mark Sloboda, Victoria Nuland coming in with her husband is Robert Kagan, who used to work for the Brookings Institute, a CIA think tank, a conservative, neoconservative think tank, and now he writes for the Washington Post.
Right.
So it's like they're controlling the media with their whole freaking propaganda and whatnot.
And by the way, they haven't found evidence of anything, of any poison on that. And you have people repeating those CIA talking points, repeating that like as if it's fact. Again, there is no evidence of that at all. They're trying to use him they're trying to paint him as a whistleblower. And it's funny because if he were a whistleblower, he wouldn't have the entire establishment on his fucking side.
Yeah, and the thing to recognize here is that Russia isn't the same state it was 20 years ago. It's in a different position. It's better. It's not having like an economic boost, but they're stronger economically, and they now have a relationship, a partnership with China. You know what I'm saying? So right now, it's like this time they're responding back. I think a lot of people said in 2014, they really tried to keep an open door that was with Russia, try to work out the whole situation with Ukraine. They were kind of caught slipping. They didn't really think what would happen did happen. And now they're handling it differently. And in fact, which this next article I have out, I just want to point out, I'm not going to read into it, but Russia also, array of countermeasures to the U.S. sanctions, what they've done too as well is eliminate and get rid of a lot of NGOs. They pull them out. So even if it's a good NGO, the NGOs that can be the problem, we know the bad NGOs, we talk about them all the time, they're removing them from the country, period. They're out. They're done. Russia is striking back in a different way. They're not playing any fucking games. And United States sloppy foreign policy, like I said, a lot of it has to do with the way we play chess. And I said this, I'm going to come out aggressive. I'm going to try to pin you. I'm going to try to get you. But then you're sitting there waiting in the bushes, and that's exactly what has happened over here. They came out, the Blinken got back into office, got back into power. Victoria Nuland, who was there in Ukraine, they started amping up the Ukrainian situation, saying Russians are being crazy on the border. Meanwhile, it was Ukrainians backed by the West. I don't even know if Zelensky gave the order to move everybody over there. Erdogan comes in with their drones. They start amping up support for Navalny. They start saying, we're going to send ships to the Black Sea. They sent them all the way to the tip of the Black Sea, and they turned around, tucked tail, and ran away. Okay? That's what they've done. They try to do everything to kind of force this move by Russia, and Russia isn't having it. Yes. They're not playing fucking games, and they're like, nope. And in fact, we're gonna smack you back with these sanctions. We're getting rid of all the NGOs, just like China did. We're not playing any games. And in fact, if we have any citizens of Russia or citizens in China, the governments are now going to handle those people accordingly for working with foreign entities. So here's the last thing we had was the National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, who came out of the Clinton fucking camp, talking about, once again, Navalny. There is a protest that is scheduled for this Wednesday, and it was supposed to be like everything at one time. Oh, here comes the Belarusian president. He's executed right now. Here's Navalny. They're in the streets. Now we have warships patrolling the Black Sea. Stuff's going on in Ukraine. They were trying to hit Russia at all these different angles. And what'd they do? They lost 3 pawns. They lost their knight, their bishop, and they're screwed right now. And it's just, really, to tell you the truth, it's lost foreign policy. It is beyond dumb at this point. Here's Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, who got his job back, on CNN, talking about, once again, trying to amp this Navalny situation, where we've been told by people like Mark Sloboda that less than 3% support this fucking dude.
This guy, it's another Juan Guaido situation.
It's worse than Juan Guaido because he was never in politics, Navalny. He never held office. He never did anything. He was just like a figure that they're trying to amp up. Why? Because he's friendly with the West.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy is a fucking joke.
You want to watch the video?
No, we don't need to.
Okay.
Well, you could just see that Jake Sullivan, once again, he tries to say, well, if anything happens to Navalny, we're going to hold Russia accountable.
But that's
us
what they want.
in the international community.
Right. That's what they want. They want any excuse. This is just, it's just so obvious, especially with the crumbling of the whole Russian bounty, all of that. It's just obvious.
Yes.
Like ever since Russiagate crumbled, ever since now it's the bounty thing, and now this, like you can't, like guys, come on. Let's start listening.
Crumbled,
start
Bountygate
listening
crumbled.
to the people calling it out and not to the people spreading actual conspiracy theories. By the way, did YouTube take down MSNBC and CNN for spreading misinformation?
Nope.
No? Okay.
Nope.
I'm just
Nope.
what it's not about misinformation, just so we know.
Everything from this administration has crumbled when foreign policy when it's directed at Russia. They want Russia to be the bad guy so bad, and every single move they tried to use to dupe the public or get them involved, to get them on board, has failed, has crumbled in their face. It is really reckless at this fucking point right now. Blinken was the worst thing that could happen to us getting back in. You know what I'm saying? Victoria Nuland's up there too as well, like we said. This is supposed to be a liberal, a Democrat, while her husband is a conservative from the Brookings Institute, working for the Washington Post. I mean, come on. These are neo fucking cons back from the George Bush days.
They're all neo.
They're back in charge, and they're failing.
They never
miserably.
left, really. Like they all never left. It's
Johnny, what else you got?
So the Derek Chauvin trial, or the murder of George Floyd trial. Closing arguments begin in Derek Chauvin's. So closing arguments finished today. So now it's with the jury. So the jury is now deliberating in the trial of the murder of George Floyd, and Chauvin is charged with second-degree unintentional murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter in the death of George Floyd. So
what are you betting?
What? I'm not betting.
What would you think happened? I don't want to say betting, but what would you think is going to come with Johnny? Do you think they're going to get him with second-degree manslaughter at least? At the very least?
I don't know. I honestly have no idea. We'll see. He could be the fall guy, and then they still increase the police budgets. Maybe nothing else gets done, and then or we're in a horrible, horrible state, and they acquit him of everything, right? And then the protests are going to get worse, and they'll employ fascism through that way, right?
Yeah.
So either way, it's
Well, I've been thinking about this whole situation. I still remember the whole Trayvon Martin situation. At the very least, I thought there's no way that Zimmerman was an escaped manslaughter, but he got away with everything. Stand your ground kind of law bullshit they kind of went to and stuff like that. You think of this situation, how could he escape Chauvin?
There's a video of him pressing his knee.
How can he escape at the very least manslaughter?
At the very least.
And if he does get manslaughter, will people still protest because they're upset because they want the murder charge?
Yeah.
Or, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's up in the air.
Based on the video and based on how everything came about in the previous attacks against Chauvin, it's not his first incident. And I would say murder is the apt charge. So I think if he doesn't get murder, people are going to protest. I think he's going to get manslaughter. If they're stupid, they're going to acquit him of everything. And that, I don't think that's going to happen. I'll be very surprised if that happens. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, I saw some crazy shit online the other day that they were blaming the Chinese. Was it for fentanyl that George Floyd was supposedly?
Oh, yeah.
They were blaming, like, China did this to make us. I'm like, come on, dude.
Richard McGowan, the doctor that has fire tweets, was saying, like, that's impossible. Like, from a doctor's perspective, what killed him was the asphyxiation.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
Summer of 1970 left a tip. Thank you so much.
Summer of 1970. Jeez.
Summer of
I'm sure that was a great
I
summer.
remember the days, fam.
You weren't even alive, fam.
I know that's I wanted to use my Irish voice over here.
Oh, God.
Kamshwari Kate has come. Jury Nullification Act.
I apologize to all my Irish friends out there.
Jury Nullification Act. Wow. I mean, what would that do, Kamshwari? I mean, can you imagine what that does? You know what I'm saying? Hung juries, mistrial.
Yeah.
A mistrial would be exactly what they want because they don't have they don't have a decision, and yet they can still go crazy in the streets to protest.
That because of Dante Wright, that blah blah blah. You know, they're gonna pull whatever they can pull. The the defense is gonna pull whatever they.
The police state is coming no matter what.
No matter what,
Don't forget that. It's disgusting. Anything else, brother?
All
right, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you for everybody for joining Rokfin today. It's been a lazy Monday, but come on back with us in a couple days. Join us in the show. Remember, we are back on YouTube for the time being, but we want everybody to go sign up on Rokfin, ROKFIN. We're a little bit more secure. We get a little bit more freedom, and we can say what we want. Also, you can always give us a few bucks there, and I want to thank all the people who left the super race today. That's very kind of you.
Always appreciated on this couch.
Yeah. Who knows what these super rays will be? These super rays might be going towards Minnesota if it gets crazy over there. You know, the Convo Couch will get out there. But so thank you so much for joining today. Thank you to all our Patreons out there. There's a lot of you out there. Thank you all to the people who left money on PayPal. You are not forgotten. It comes through on my phone. It's awesome. So thank you so much for Pasta Jardula.
Fiorella.
Johnny Sue on the ones and twos.
Bye,
Bye, everybody.
Cheers.